All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class G1 Universe Optimus Prime. A neat little figure here. Basically, what this is meant to be is just like a slightly downscaled version of the original G1 toy with better articulation, which is, if you had announced this like over a year ago, right, I would have been super ecstatic just to get this guy. But it's a little bit strange that this guy came out in the same year that Missing Link Optimus Prime came out, which literally is the G1 toy with better articulation. But yeah, I mean, I get it that they're doing 40th anniversary stuff, and I'm not entirely sure why they decided to do this concept twice, but either way, if you were interested in the idea of the Missing Link Optimus Prime but did not want to shell out the, $70 to $120 for it. This is basically kind of scratching the same itch, but only for the price of a regular deluxe. Again, this definitely, I've always been really interested in this concept, especially since Mattel started doing the Masters of the Universe Origins line, where they were basically just releasing figures that were not literally their original sculpts, but just kind of like heavily based on those original toys with better articulation and stuff like that. And I always thought that doing that concept with Transformers was just like a no-brainer, that would be a really cool thing to do. And obviously we know that they're continuing along with the Missing Link line, because they're doing Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, and then maybe they'll do like Soundwave or Starscream in the future. But I sort of wish that they would do more that are, along these lines, because to actually like build up a collection of those like Missing Link type figures, doing it with like the, super pricey kind of like half G1 reissues, I think would be more than I'd be wanting to spend on a lot of them. But if they did a bunch of guys that were like, just updated versions of the G1 toys, like in this, just like regular deluxe scale, I would be all over that. Like, I'd love one that's like a updated version of like Wheeljack with his like weird gorilla arm proportions, and like it would be really cool if we got new versions of like Ratchet and Ironhide with their stupid sort of like Diaclone like pilot designs that don't look anything like their G1 designs. I don't know, it could be kind of cool, but I sort of would suspect that if they're continuing with that in that direction, that they would mostly continue with the Missing Link line and not do more that are just like this. But either way, I don't know. I think that it could be a fun little subline in and of itself. But he's a pretty nice little figure. He's got actual rubber tires, which is pretty cool to see. Also, a fun little detail that I noticed on here is that he's got like this text printed on them that just says Cybertron Radial, which is a fun little detail there. He rolls pretty nicely. He's got some good detail here. I do find that these bits on the truck mode don't always want to stay like super flush in together, and like just something about like the tolerances and proportions of this piece in particular is just like maybe like a micrometer or two too wide, because it makes these shoulders just like bow out ever so slightly. But those are really just like the smallest of nitpicks, honestly. For the most part, he's a pretty nice little figure here. He comes with a few accessories here. He comes with two different versions of his ion blaster here. I suspect that one of these is like more accurate to the G1 toy, and one of them is more accurate to the cartoon, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, either way, two options there. He does come with a little Energon axe here, which is, maybe not quite the shape I'd want it to be, especially in terms of like the back section here, but yeah, it's good enough. And he comes with a little unpainted clear blue matrix of leadership here. Now, in terms of storage for all this stuff, with the matrix, you can just, open it up and put it there, which works pretty much exactly like the Missing Link version does. He does have like the opening bit here, like the G1 toy does as well. And for the guns, you are supposed to just, plug them onto the back here. And then for the axe, you actually plug it into the trailer hitch like that. And that's supposed to be how you store all this stuff. It's my usual gripe with storage, but it bothers me less with him, since he's supposed to be a recreation of the G1 toy, who did not have storage for his weapons at all. Personally, I mean, I'm gonna, I haven't really decided which weapons I'm gonna display him with yet, but it's one gun or the other for sure. I think, lean towards the more toy accurate one, like this one, just because like this is a toy accurate prime. I've got plenty of primes that have cartoon accurate guns, or again, whatever this is supposed to be, but the toy one is fine for me. And then the Energen X is cool too, and I don't necessarily even need storage for that. But either way, also worth mentioning is that his smokestacks are just plugged on with 5mm pegs there, so you can do, I guess, whatever you want with those as well. I guess you can give him his guns for smokestacks, so just have like big ridiculous gun smokestacks there. That's something you could do, I guess. But yeah. In terms of comparisons in this mode, just for the standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. Obviously does not really scale with, much of anything here, because it's not really supposed to, since this is obviously like a deluxe version of Prime and not, really meant to scale with the other deluxes. Maybe if they do more of these guys, which I honestly kind of doubt, then they'll do them in like a smaller size too. But also the G1 toys didn't really scale with each other either, so whatever. For a G1 comparison, here he is with G1 Bumblebee, so you can see how the two of them look, and I feel like they look pretty cool together. Here he is with Earthrise Optimus Prime, so you can see what he looks like with another more modern Prime. And then, of course, I don't have the G1 Optimus Prime, but here he is with Missing Link Optimus Prime. And it's like, we're also getting that, like, toy accurate, or cartoon accurate colors version of like just a regular reissue of the original G1 Optimus Prime this year as well. They're really going all out for the 40th anniversary in terms of like giving you lots of new little G1 Optimus Prime options with different twists on them. But yeah, you just can see the size difference there. They do transform largely the same way. There's a little bit of difference in how the arms work, but for the most part, they're pretty similar, but you can see the size difference there. And then lastly, I figured I would also show off, just because we're getting Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime fairly soon. Some people are already getting it. And I was sort of thinking that, like, if the sizing fits, I might just keep Earthrise Prime on my shelf as my Optimus Prime, but give him the Studio Series 86's trailer. And then this trailer, I do think works fairly well with this guy, because it is, the complaint that people have had about the Earthrise trailers that's a little bit too small, where, well, here we have a smaller Optimus Prime. His trailerage, I will say, is a little far back, so it does look a little strange when you attach it on there, but the actual, like, height of it more or less works. I do find that the wheels don't really like roll along the ground, but I think that's more to do with the trailer's tolerances, or these 3D printed pieces they have in there. So it looks a little bit weirdly far back, but he's got an excellent turn radius, I guess. But I don't know, I feel like that works fairly well. I feel like that looks pretty cool. But yeah, to get onto transformation, obviously, like I said, he's pretty similar to the Missing Link Optimus Prime, and by extension also just G1 Optimus Prime. But first thing you want to do here is just take the arms here, just fold them out from the side, and then fold them forward like that. Just do that on both sides here. And then how he differs from Missing Link Optimus Prime is, instead of the hands just folding out to the side here and him still having like the kind of weirdly long arms, you actually bring this section down a click and then rotate this bit around and then fold it back up. So he's got slightly more like proportionate arms in robot mode, and that, there doesn't have to be like hollow sections in the side here to accommodate the hands. Then for the legs, you can just bring them down like that, split them, fold the feet down. That's pretty much it for that. And then you just take this section, and again, a little bit different than the G1 Optimus Prime, where he had these like big panels sticking out of the side of his arms so that they could fold around and cover the head. He actually has like a little, thing that you open and then flip out the head there, which honestly kind of locks in there pretty securely. So it's a little bit annoying sometimes to flip it out. You just want to click that into place, close that up, and there we have G1 Universe Optimus Prime in his robot mode. And yeah, what an adorable little figure. I just like really love the aesthetic of this guy. Obviously going for the G1 toy thing, he does have the yellow eyes there, which do have light piping. I don't think it works like all that well. I don't know. That works okay, but yeah, pretty good looking little figure here, definitely very heavily inspired by G1 Optimus Prime. In terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so it can rotate around, gets a little bit of wiggle back and forth. The shoulders here can swivel around like that and then fold out to the side. He also does, for transformation, have that sort of like backwards butterfly joint that you could use, which I do actually find to be pretty helpful. It does kind of have like soft blocking spots in like these 3 spots, but you definitely can get it to sit in between those, just because the clicks are so far apart. But yeah, he's got bicep swivel, 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, nothing at the wrist. The wrists are just attached to this piece in painted blue. He does have a waist cut right here. He doesn't have an ab crunch like the Missing Link version did. But yeah, he's got a waist swivel below all this, and then he basically has the bumper, and then these 2 wheels are kind of like the side skirt things that you can fold out of the way, so you can bring the hips forward and back and out to the side. He's got a thigh swivel there, 90 degrees of bend at the knee, maybe like a degree more. And then the feet, the bottom wheel is actually part of the feet here, so they can tilt out like that. And they also are on a swivel, so you can rotate them, although they really only kind of rotate out, because if you rotate them in, they start to like push the tire off of the wheel there. But yeah, I also find it a little weird that they, have the mushroom pegs just visible on this side, but I don't know. If that really bothers you, you could like swap the legs and flip it around, but most of the time it's covered by the bumper anyway, so like who really cares? But yeah, decent articulation there, pretty comparable to what they did with the Missing Link Optimus Prime, just obviously with fewer, ratchet joints and stuff like that. In terms of his accessories, obviously you can give him his either or both of his guns to hold here, and that looks fine. It is a pretty tight connection, really, with all of his accessories. I also suspect that's because, like, these are, like painted black, so that might chip off over time. He does really only have, like, the 1 port to actually store anything, so you really are kind of just, like, picking the gun, and then you could put the other one back there, but you can't have both stored at the same time. And then with the axe, it can go on either hand, but you just press that into his fist there, and, it works fairly well. It's nothing really groundbreaking there, but yeah, it's a decent execution of the little axe there. I just think that the shape of it is a little bit small and weird, but I don't care really all that much, honestly. I've got my fill of good Optimus Prime axes, but yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with side swipes. You can see pretty average Deluxe, maybe a tiny bit on the short side, but really not too terrible there. Here he is with the G1 Bumblebee again, so you can see what the 2 of them look like together. Again, obviously it's not the exact scale of the G1 toys, since he's smaller than G1 Optimus Prime, but I do think that they look cool together. It'd be really cool to get like a core class version of a G1 Bumblebee toy. I'd be all over that. That would be a really fun little idea there. Here he is again with Earthrise Prime, so you can see obviously quite a bit smaller than a typical Voyager there. And then last but not least, here he is again with Missing Link Optimus Prime. So you can see the differences there. And yeah, these are both really cool figures in their own right. They definitely do sort of feel like they're kind of like going for the same like vibe, and I do like both of them. I mean, I do think I like Missing Link Optimus Prime more, just because he is a nicer figure with like die-cast parts and like shiny chrome and stuff like that, and he's more accurate to the G1 toy because he mostly is. But in terms of like, if you were looking at Missing Link Optimus Prime being like, ooh, I don't know if I want to pay $70 to, get this figure like that, this one, I think, is a much better bang for your buck, honestly. Like, he still has the same vibe there, and he only costs $25, which is a pretty significant difference there. So it really just kind of depends what you're going for. Like, honestly, I kind of am giving them some crap for releasing it in this order, because I'm like, well, if this guy came out first, then I probably wouldn't have bought Missing Link Optimus Prime, but honestly, like, I'm sort of glad they did it that way, because I do like having both of them. But this was definitely a much harder pill to swallow in terms of like the price you pay for it, whereas this guy is a lot more affordable for a lot of people. So it's nice to have those options. But yeah, 2 different strokes for different bugs. I think that they both work fairly well. And yeah, that's more or less all there is to say about him. I mean, you can take the smokestacks out. Weirdly, they can't really like, they can fit in his hands as pistols, but they kind of like bump up against the like, forearm bit a little bit. So it's not like a perfect connection, but he can do that. I was sort of curious if he works like with Missing Link Optimus Prime's axe, because it's just, you know, a bit bigger and it doesn't really fit there just because it's like, you know, the edge bit is like bumping up against the forearm. Well, actually, I don't know. Now that I say that, maybe it's just that the peg is tight. So this bit can't close all the way, but yeah, you can do that. So I guess that's one thing. I mean, you could probably give him his gun too if you wanted him to have like bigger ridiculous weapons in proportion to him. I feel like that looks kind of cool there. And yeah, like I said, I it doesn't really bother me that he doesn't scale with anything. Oh god, that's really gonna be stuck in here now, huh? Because like, I don't know, if they made other figures to go with this aesthetic, then that would be cool. But again, because it's going for a G1 toy thing, I'm kind of just pleased with this as like a standalone thing. And yeah, you know, he looks cool with some other toys as well. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. A pretty fun little figure, and definitely would recommend it, especially if you were interested in Missing Link Optimus Prime but didn't want to shell out all the money for it. This guy is a great alternative to that same, you know, aesthetic. But yeah, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Generations Legacy United G1 Universe Optimus Prime.